Good morning. Buenos dias. It's been a while since I recorded and logged in what's going on with my gardens. So let's just point out some of the things that are going well. And as a disclaimer, I have had a very busy July. I've had a very busy July when it's been the hottest July on record. And so I've pretty much abandoned working out here. However, a lot of the stuff I planted a few years back is doing really well. It's just taking care of itself, sort of. Other things, not so much, especially my annuals and stuff that I have going on in the back. So this lamb's ear, phenomenal. I need to get more of this stuff. I'm planning to actually thin this out and put some on my hell strip. I think it'll do great out there. You'll see how terrible my hell strip looks. Boxwoods are doing good. I had planted something here. I don't know what it was. Rabbits ate it, and it's just a blank spot. I don't know what I'm going to do. Dianthus needs to be cut back. The autumn joy sedum, it's coming into its own. I've also completely neglected to water this, which is great because it does not like too much water. Last year I had watered it too much and it was flopping over at this time. So I'm also going to thin this out a bit and plant some in the hell strip. So I'm going to get some free plants from my yard. These are little, last year when they flopped over, I pulled some out, cut them, and just plant it right next to each other, and there they go. These are the baby autumn joy sedum that I planted from the leaves, whatever just fell off last year. The barberry was trimmed back several times, and it's, it has a life of its own. This thing needs to be controlled. It's really pretty. I mean, the leaves, the texture, the color is just gorgeous, but it does have spiky thorns, and I need to wear special gloves to deal with this, so I kind of avoid it until I can't avoid it anymore. This is some more Dianthus or Sweet William that was growing here, and the rabbits, I have about a family of about 7 rabbits, and more coming that live in my yard, and so they've attacked. They've had a nice little feeding frenzy, which is fine. I mean, most of the time they're just helping me prune back my plants. They're helping me with my Chelsea chop, but sometimes they pretty much eat everything down to the ground. Sometimes I mind, sometimes I don't. The Dianthus definitely needs to be cut back. The baby rabbits were sort of using this as their bed. Curthumeria doing good. The tough stuff mountain hydrangea doing wonderful. I had put a lot of I had acidified the soil, and so the blooms were super blue at one point. Now they're a little bit more pink. The hostas took a little bit of a beating. Those are slugs and other insects. I'm going to cut back these the flower stalks. It was looking really nice for a little while, the really light purple flowers with the purple and the hydrangeas. I'm gonna cut them back. I planted clematis here, just the root didn't really come out. I don't know if it's gonna come out. I just was a little trial and error. I'm still a novice gardener. I still don't know what I'm doing. And so a lot of this stuff is just trial and error, and, realizing that as a working person, I'm never going to really have my garden under control, and just accepting that it's just, this is supposed to be fun. And so I try to have fun with it. And so you'll see lots of weeds because I haven't come around to weed. I'm planning to do that this weekend. these were the steed holly that dried up on me in the pots. And so I kept them here. I watered them. Maybe I could bring them back to life. I had put them in a bucket. Sorry about that. It's one of the many helicopters flying above me. So these steed holly seem to be coming back to life, all of them actually. So I'm going to cut back some of this dead wood, and even this one. There's a little baby growing there. And see if I can just get some new plants from this. Hostas again. I keep the stalks on these, the flower spikes, not stalks, spikes, because I kind of like the structure. I think it looks really pretty. I cut them back later on when everything dies back down. So one of the things that is doing fabulously is my Bobo hydrangea hedge. So let me just go here. I had transplanted these. These were in the front yard, and I transplanted them last fall, and they look really good. Some better than others, but I'm figuring that they will eventually all look beautiful like this. Some of them are actually still turning pink. Yeah. So a fly just came into my face. I have to cut back the spikes on this lady's mantle. The Brunnera is doing fantastic. I also have to cut back some of the dead leaves. And this is the limelight, which is flopping over. These I got on sale. They were looking really sad. I got them for $15. And I planted them here. So I'm just gonna have to tie them up, and I'm gonna try to create some sort of standard. The flowers are dried up, but I kept them on there because they kind of still look nice. But even it flopped over, it's still looking pretty. This needs some love here. I bought this and I never really got a chance to plant it. I just stuck it in a pot and put it in the shade. And I have to water it, but this is Bloomstruck from Endless Summer. They're really pretty. I'll cut those back. Those will be fine. I think I can revive that without a problem. So again, this is the hydrangea, Bobo hydrangea, proving winners. The spirea is like, I love this plant. It's wonderful. I don't have to do anything to it. And it's great all 4 seasons. And the pollinators love it. This is twice already that it's bloomed, rebloomed, and dried up. So this monster of a plant was so tiny last year when I bought it. I have to go by and just rip off some of the dead blooms. But this is the hardy hibiscus. And summerific, something like that. I don't know. I forgot but I had gotten 2 small plants, 2 tiny little plants. I had to move the other one because there wasn't space enough for both of them here. And they did really good last year, but this year, this is a beast. It dies right back down and then comes back every year, but it comes back late. So this is when it starts coming back sometime in July, and it just shoots up. And I planted this plant, which I love. This is the jazz hands. I forget the name of this plant, but it's a jazz hand something or the other, and it's a variegated purple foliage. How could I forget? I'll remember later. But it's doing really good. This is its first year here, so this will grow up pretty big. It'll grow up into a big, beautiful shrub, deciduous shrub. And so the other one I had transplanted on this side because it just had it next to each other. There just wasn't going to be enough space. So I transplanted it so it was a little smaller, but it would have been this as large as that one. if I had not transplanted it. But it had some transplant shock in the beginning, and now it's just doing. The only thing about this plant is that it's sort of dead heads itself, but they're kind of ugly. Just laying there, so you have to clean it up all the time. It's not, kind of looks funny like that, you see. But the blooms are worth it. I mean, these blooms are worth it. And I wish I had gotten 2 different colors, because now I have the same exact plant. And although it looks nice, it creates some sort of rhythm. But at the same time, I would have liked to have something different, like a different flower. But look at that, it's still going strong. My evergreen trees are holding their own. They're still becoming who they're gonna be in the future. Right now they're small. And this is the hinoki. This is Japanese maple. I think it's a lace leaf maple. And I need to restake it, as you can tell. This is not holding. Maybe so I can start curving it back up. I don't know. Pulling on the other side from here, maybe? I don't know. I have to watch a video to know how to do that. That is a Hollywood. This is a this rose bush was given to me as a gift. It is the pink knockout rose, and it's doing really good. I have to cut it back. Like I said, I've completely neglected, but it looks really good here, and sort of in the same color scheme as the other plants, in the purples and the pinks. Purples, pinks, blue, point juniper, and these are my chartreuse, yellow, bright golden sunshine ligustrum, which they sort of fleshed out on their own. I cut this one back because it was looking really. I was gonna do all 3, and then it just didn't come out here. So this one looks a lot smaller than those. But I'll shape this up later on. These are asters coming up on the ground. They had started. They probably would have been much bigger had it not been for the rabbits. My asters. I got some cloches I'm gonna put on them. This is really interesting. This sunflower grew up here by itself. It just seeded itself, and I just let it be. Doesn't look bad. This is the lemon lime nandina. Front yard. My little devil 9 bark. I'm pretty big, and that said I cut it back. It was really tall. I don't know, this is going to be their full size. It's supposed to be a dwarf species, which is supposed to be no taller than 5 feet tall and 3 feet wide. But as you can see, it was almost there. I trimmed it back. It still looks really pretty. And I probably could shape it up a little bit more. You're not really supposed to prune it into. It's not one of those plants that you can shape up. You can prune into a certain shape. It's more, it does its own thing. But I probably am going to cut back a lot of this in the bottom. It's still flowering a little bit, if you can see the lip flowers. I cut back the lavender 3 times this season already. And it'll give me another set of blooms in the fall. Let's see over here. We have baby boxwoods I planted. These were eaten up by the deer. They're coming back. This is the golden euonymus. I'm gonna have to put cloches over this as well. And mango pines. And this is just growing into the golden ticket ligustrum, which I have to also trim, prune up. Some bees having some fun. Okay. Okay. So this is my house strip, and I want to do something with it. So I I'm not going to plant it all up because as you can tell, there's cars parked here, and I need to have some pathways from the street into the sidewalk. So I'm probably going to create, coming from here, I'm going to create, this is how you see those stones in there that I put down a couple of months ago and I just sort of ignored. But I have a plan. I do have a plan. I want to create these little pathways using this leftover stone that surrounded the base of a very tall, beautiful red oak tree that I had in my front yard that I took down. And so this created like sort of a raised bed around it. And so I have all these rocks that I don't know what to do with, these little stones. And so I did use some of them to create sort of a border on the side yard, which I'm going to go there in a second, but I have a ton more. So instead of buying stepping stones and the expense, I figured I could try to do this myself and create like little areas, pathways, just cut out all the grass or turf. This is not really grass, it's mostly weeds. And dig it up, put some sand down, lay down the stones, and create some sort of border here. But I want to do it not just here, but a couple ways down too. I'm going to do it over here too because, as you can tell, people park on my street, and so I can have two pathways, and then in between I can plant whatever, which I'm thinking of, this is really dry, no irrigation, barely gets watered, very weedy. It does have some drainage though. It's not like it isn't like the water sits there. There is some clay soil, but it's not that bad. I was able to plant these ground cover in this corner as an experiment, and they're all doing pretty good. Here we have lots of weeds. I don't have my gloves on. Hate doing this without gloves because there's so many ants. Okay, so this is the this morning, I don't know, my brain is not working, but it's the fuzzy blue stuff. I'll remember in a second. Silver mound artemisia, there you go. And then this is blue point. This is the juniper, the blue rug juniper. There's another one, and then that's like the arborvitae, the fire chief for that bright arborvitae. These I can all control pretty much, but I want to see how they did in this area. So this is like the worst area of my house strip, this corner here next to the driveway. And I planted it up thinking, okay, if anything can survive this area, they'll survive the rest of it. And this is doing really good. So I'm thinking of getting some evergreen creeping, ground cover to disperse throughout this house strip. And that way I have plants there all year round. And these already have been here for 1 year, and they did well with the snow and the salt. No problems, no issues. Only thing, it does get weedy. I have to weed out, little by little as I mulch, and it's just something I have to keep up with. But I want to plant some, I think I want to plant up some of these perennials like the lamb's ear, like the autumn joy sedum and other types of sedum, like more silver mound artemisia, like perhaps some Russian sage, and then even some annuals, like just throw some seeds down, some wildflowers in between, and this should look really nice. I don't know when I'm gonna get a chance to do it, but that is the plan. All right, again, I can't say enough about these spirea. These were tiny, tiny, tiny little shrubs that I planted here last year. Now they're starting to look really good. And like I said, they just give and give and give to pollinators. They just look beautiful. You don't have to do anything. The color is just striking. So the ones I have over on the side of the house are called, they're called Double Play Doozy from Proven Winners. These are Oh, I forgot what the name of these are. But they're more pink and red. I have them in another video. I have the tag somewhere. Like I said this morning, my brain is not working very well. I'm slow. I stuck these here, the salvia. They look great. I gotta cut them back again. This would be the third cut back. I mean, it's a little bit of work, but you get flowers and they just keep on going all year long until winter comes. Speaking of, let's go across my driveway. And so I needed to do something with this section here between my neighbor's yard. I really like my neighbor. I wanted to give her something pretty, but I wanted something really low maintenance for myself. And so I didn't cut out any garden beds, which I'm planning to mulch this up more later on. I mulched it up only around the plant. And you see it's all weeds. It's all weeds. I have really very little grass, but I was able to plant up these zebra miscanthus grass, and they did terrible. So I cut them back like in the beginning of June, and look how pretty. And they'll grow about 4 or 5 feet eventually, and they bloom. I also put in some veronica, even though I have veronica as weeds here, and salvia. See, little bees having fun right there. The bees love these plants. I also planted some brown-eyed Susans or black-eyed Susans. And these two I had to cut back because they looked terrible. And then they just came back like champs. Like champs, they came back. Oh, and the senecio. How could I forget that? They just like little bright spot in the middle of the weeds, which I need to take care of all this. It's just ridiculous. Like I said, I've abandoned, sorry about that, I've abandoned my yard, and so the weeds are ridiculous. Crabgrass all over the place. But you know, even with the crabgrass, it's like those senecios just make that pop. I planted this rose bush and it was chomped on a little bit, but it's coming back. I have to prune it up a little bit. Dead head. Look at those blooms. So yes, I did a little something here. It doesn't look terrible. It could be better. I think the plant selection was like right on, just because this is another area that's gets 100% south-facing sun, super dry. And so these are all drought-tolerant plants that need very little care. But I probably am gonna have to clear out all these weeds and put down some mulch eventually, because it's just ridiculous trying to keep this tidy looking. All right, this is where I use some of those rocks that were around the tree. And every year I say, okay, I gotta move this hosta from here. This is south facing. This hosta is taking on south facing sun. And, you know, usually doesn't like it, but she keeps on going strong. And I think the reason, even though she looks dry and a little tattered, and that's why I think I need to move it. The only reason I think she does well is because I have this gutter that just, you know, provides irrigation. Even I have no irrigation in my yard. So all these plants, either I use the hose or nature takes care of it. So this is all south facing. And like I said, I use the, I've had to take out these stupid lights. They're kind of cute in the beginning, but then they start looking kind of weird. So yeah, I do have to weed here as well. However, the weeds here are actually pretty weeds. I have wild violets and yarrow. That's what I have going on. Those are my weeds, so it's not that bad. The violets tend to take over. You just have to cut them back, but the little purple flowers are worth it. Those are the peonies. This is winter creeper, euonymus. This is coral, drift roses, which also need to be deadheaded. And this was my clematis, which died on me. I can't do that without pulling the whole thing off, but it's somehow I got cut off at the end. Let me just show you. And it was, so it's dead, but I think the roots are down there. If not, I'm gonna have to plant some more next year. This one's doing okay. It's a Jackmani clematis. This one is fine. It's yellow and it probably needs food, but haven't been around. Coreopsis does its own thing every year. This plant is, I have no idea what it is, whether it's a weed or a real plant. I am going to have to pull it out though. It can't grow in the middle of those roses. This is the penstemon that died on me, but it's coming back. Let's see how it does. Again, like these plants are so funny because like the host over there is getting south-facing sun. These lambs here that prefer south-facing sun, lots of sun, are in the north, or have north-facing, and they're doing fine. Here are the wild violets I was telling you about. I cut them back so they look good. The rabbits took care of this for me. I wasn't the one who trimmed these back. This was the rabbits, the baby rabbits who eat this. This little hydrangea I planted this year. This is the ruby slippers something, ruby something or the other, for improving winters. And it's just a baby, but it doesn't grow that big. It's a good little spot for it. Next year it'll look much better. It's still pretty even though it's dried out. I do have to take care of it. All right. So let's go to my hot mess backyard. My hot mess backyard, because I do need some organization back here. There goes a rabbit. That one's medium size. That's one of the teenagers. I have grandparents, parents, teenagers, babies. This plant died on me. It's an azalea, and I think it's where I planted it. It might be diseased, the soil, something's up with it, because I planted something else there and it's dying on me as well. I haven't done anything here. I wanted to plant up some camellias. I didn't do that. I haven't done anything. This is north facing, so I'm probably going to do hydrangeas and camellias, and I might put a tree here, this tree that I've been growing from roots in this pot. And this tree, this is a dogwood, white flowering dogwood. And that other tree, which it was a persimmon, but something happened. I have to take these out of the pots. This is the reality of somebody. My neighbor's fence broke. This is my neighbor's fence, and so they have to fix that up. Let's not look over there. Let's go to my shade garden, what I call house to heaven. I need to weed here, but they're doing fine. Lots of damage by insects here. All that insect damage. But, the coleus is doing great. Need to cut this back a little bit or deadhead it. I had more coleus here, but the rabbits took a hold of them. There's even a baby. You can see it's a lungwort, pulmonaria. That's on a steel bee. And those are baby lilacs growing from this tree here. This baby lilac that has some that white stuff, that mildewy white stuff growing on it. This is every year. It's the same thing. I just let it be. I can't keep up with it. I'm going to have to take it down one year. So, weeds galore. Let me talk about weeds right now. I mean, I have baby weeds on the ground. I have humongous weeds. These are actually weeds. These are probably milkweed, which is good for the butterflies, but they don't flower when you tear them out. The columbine acts like weeds. The primrose, evening primrose. This tree that grew into this was acorn planted by, this was an acorn planted by squirrels that grew into a tree, which grew into a fence. And I cut it back every year, but my neighbor likes it. He gets mad when I cut it back, but I need to cut this back. It's just this huge oak tree growing in the middle of my yard, which I don't want it. I cut back down 2 oak trees. Those are hydrangeas, which are being shaded by the oak tree. The evening primrose weed, because it is a weed. I did not plant it. It grows like crazy here. I know it has medicinal purposes, but sometimes it's annoying. These are other coleus that I planted that survived. Some did not survive. More old-fashioned hydrangeas, arborescens. And this is the weed I'm talking about. Look at this. This is American pokeweed. What I do every year, this is ridiculous. It's my neighbor. He lets it grow, and I come back here, and it's just ridiculous. So apparently these little berries, the cardinals like them, but they drop to the ground, or the cardinals spread them around, and then I have to pull a ton of these. These are all over the place. I have to constantly be pulling out pokeweed. So it looks like this. This is at least, let me see, the fence is 6 feet. It's at least 2 or 3 feet above that. You're talking about a 10-foot, probably a 10-foot weed. Okay, so I'm gonna have to get my big pruners and cut all of this out today, probably this weekend. Same here. I don't know what this is. This is some sort of vine. See, and it's also ridiculously tall. There's more pokeweed back there. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this vine is. I'm cutting it back though. It looks kind of pretty, but I don't want it here. And then they have huge, huge butterfly bushes, which is fine. I mean, they don't bother me. They can just do their thing. They actually look kind of pretty up there. But they're the big, big plants. Also, in addition to the butterfly bush, they have the humongous Rose of Sharon. The Rose of Sharon, or the hibiscus syriacus, which look pretty. I don't mind them either. Down here, I have to do something here. I haven't done anything. I do have these irises. We have baby irises. These are fine. They do okay. This section here, which I had weeded out and planted a bunch of annuals and some perennials, is doing okay. Still needs to be weeded. It needs some work. Some stuff survived, some didn't. Back there, that's another weed. It's related to the tomato family. It's actually poisonous. I forget the name of it. It's coming from my neighbor's backyard, and I just need to cut the part on my side. Mosquitoes. The coral bark maple is doing okay. Needs some water. Suffered a lot with the heat of July. My experiment of putting the boxwood back there, perfect. This is the Roseanne geranium, doing fine. That is a peony that I planted and died. This is the section that I said everything dies if I put it there. I think it's the soil. Weeds, tons of weeds. This is Spanish lavender, or French lavender. I don't know what that is. I had planted echinacea. The rabbits ate it down to the ground. I don't know if this is echinacea or if it's something else growing here. This is all calibrachoa. It's doing all right. What plant is that? Forgot which one it was. These are doing their own thing. Again, the rabbits helped me prune this out. These are the only things that are doing good here. And the African daisies. All this needs help. This is the, what is this called again? These were beautiful. It's actually called Lucifer. Starts with a C. Can't remember. Anyway, this plant is beautiful and I want more of it. However, you'll see that the annuals are just taking over the bottom. Doesn't look that bad. But these have little red flowers. And they just look beautiful. Those are my old these have to be pulled out. I'm going to take out the bulbs and plant them someplace else. That's why I left that there, just because I want to know where they are. Easier to find and move. I'm going to move these someplace else. This is just ridiculous. The weeds just took over. This was a blueberry bush. The rabbits got in here. I don't know how they climbed up and ate this all down, and it's full of weeds. So this is the area I need to work on, probably today and tomorrow the most, just to clean it up. So am I a gardener? Not yet. I am not a gardener yet. I am just learning. And so part of the learning process is a lot of this. Like what to plant that doesn't need 100%, of my attention, because I'm working most of the day. So this is a beautiful plant, a tree, it grows into a tree. It's a huge shrub. This is a dappled willow. And the rabbits apparently love dappled willow. This is what they did. They're the ones that ate this down to the ground. Rabbits. So this is a view from over here. A lot of work to do. Alliums. That's what those are. The alliums. I'm going to move those alliums and put them someplace else. This area here, I don't know why it was mulched down, and it just grew weeds all over the place. My mother was experimenting with plants, and she had a bunch here. I'm going to clean this up. The only thing that survived I had a ton of different types of marigolds, but this is the only marigold that survived. And it's doing great. It's staying right there. Again, I have to deal with this issue here. I haven't planted anything. I have to weed. She's doing okay. And here we go. This is south facing, my little tiny shade border, which has become completely overgrown. But doing well. Like, the plants are not unhappy. It's overgrown, but not unhappy. So we have the hellebores back there. Nandinas apparently like the shade. That is the lungwort. And tons of the corabels or the heuchera. Some of the heucherella is hidden back there. I'm going to move that out. So, like I said, it's not hating its life, but it's definitely overgrown. And then I have all my container plants, which some are doing good, some are not doing great. And those are my messes. My mess. You can see my mess. That's the truth of gardening, because there's lots of messes everywhere. And if you don't have time to dedicate to cleaning up and organizing, it's just going to look like that sometimes. So here we go. This one has a bunch of spiders and it's killing it. I'm going to have to clean this up. The elephant ears are doing good. More heuchera in a pot. These are 3 different types of heuchera in a pot. Goodness. These need to be deadheaded. God, I've been such a neglectful gardener. That probably is dead. That's the asparagus fern. And again, I have weeds even growing in the cracks. And tons of crap that I need a shed out here. I probably need a shed to store all my stuff. All right. Oh my God, 38 minutes. I'm tired of talking. I need to trim these back. The golden mop cypress, more heuchera, a dead plant. This is a self-seeded. Can you believe that? A self-seeded. What is this called again? Oh, there goes a rabbit. Where did he go? Hold on. Where are you, buddy? You're in here. You're gonna show your face as a baby. Hello? Hello? This is a good thing to end on. Hey, little guy, where are you? Come out, wherever you are. Pesky little rabbit, where are you? I can't find you. He's probably terrified of me. All right, so like I said, lots of maintenance needed. This garden has been abandoned all of July. and I'm sorry about the camera work. I'm scratching a mosquito bite that I just got. Yeah, lots of work needed, but all in all, not that terrible considering. Oh, there he goes. Not that terrible considering. And I'm even going to talk about these garden beds that I didn't do anything with. We'll talk about that some other time. Oh, there he goes. I got you, bunny rabbit. I got you, bunny rabbit. They're so cute, but they do so much damage. All right. Oh goodness, 40 minutes. So this is the end of this vlog on my garden, on the state of affairs of my garden. This is August 3rd, 2023. We just experienced the hottest July in history, and I was not here to do anything to this garden, and this is what it looks like since I did nothing in July, besides have people mow my lawn. And all in all, considering that I've done nothing and I have no irrigation and I haven't been around to water, and luckily we had some rain, it's not doing terrible, right? It's not terrible. That means that I must have chosen some decent plants. You know, the perennials I've chosen are good for that area. And that's really my goal, is to find plants that I don't have to be beautiful plants, that like where they live and that nature will take care of without too much help from me. So, with a few annuals here and there to add color. "41 minutes. 41 minutes. Who's gonna watch this video for 41 minutes? I don't know. Anyway, hopefully my nephew and my nieces will, because this is who I do it for. Okay. So on that note, we will leave you with the coleus. That's doing really, really great. We're not going to look at the hosta that hasn't been planted, that's still in its pot right there from Monrovia. But we can look at this. Okay, until next time. Hasta luego.